Episode 7 of the Consistency Podcast is here. My name is Stephen Gloucester, and I wanted to put out an emergency/timely response episode to the Sunday night Kirk Minahan show, which featured Blind Mike. There were some questions and theories on that show that made me want to issue some sort of follow-up on my show. And I wanted to do it without waiting 3 or 4 days like Mutt would before I responded. There was a question on the show posed by Condescending Coleman on whether or not I am a real Minifan or not. And I don't understand why Coleman and some people think I'm a fugazi, that I'm somebody who just moved into the neighborhood a month ago. But I also don't know how you would properly answer what a Minifan is. If I were to ask Condescending Coleman that question, what answer would he give me? I mean, what defines a Minifan? This is something that's been talked about for years. Where do you go answering that question? How do you begin? And what qualifies somebody as a Minifan? I mean, if you're somebody who just listens to the show, you don't go to live shows, you don't buy merchandise, you don't have a Twitter handle, are you still considered a Minifan? Or do you need to listen to every show at least once or twice? You need to buy the merch, you need to go on Twitter, you need to go to live shows, you need to be on the network. You need to listen to all the network shows. And if you're lucky enough, you need to be at least in studio with Kirk once to be qualified as a Minifan. I mean, there really isn't an answer to that question. So how do you properly prove to somebody that you are a Minifan? And I don't know if Coleman or any of the negative people on Twitter or Reddit will ever accept my answer. And I don't know if there's a 100 question quiz I could take, or if there's something else I can do within reason to prove that I have been a day one fan of the show. And as Kirk has said on the show, I have been a fan of his since his days at WEEI in Boston. So naturally, I converted over to Barstool when Kirk went from WEEI to Barstool. And I have listened to his show since day one at Red 13. I have not missed an episode. So when someone says to me, "We don't believe you, you're a fake, you're a fugazi," I mean, that's crazy, because I've listened to every episode. Now, if I was going to knock something, I definitely haven't been to the live shows. The only thing I went to was a vigil in Sherborne. But other than that, I haven't been to a live show, and I know I need to do that. I got to be there in 2024. I got to start attending things to prove that I am a true Minifan. But other than that, all I can really do is continue to learn from Kirk. And there are definitely some lessons about podcasting that I picked up from him that I can use on this Consistency podcast going forward. And I need to continue to ingratiate myself with the true and awesome people that are part of the Miniverse. There have been some amazing people on Twitter that have provided some great feedback. I've had the opportunity to work with a couple of Minifans on the network. I've gotten to meet a few people in person so far that have said, "Hey, you're doing a great job on the show. We like the Consistency podcast." So I think that if I can continue to ingratiate myself with the true fans, it will make these stupid questions of whether or not I'm a Minifan or not will go away. But definitely, if there's something else I can do within reason to prove myself, please reach out. Please let me know. because I would love nothing more than that question to be eliminated from all vocabulary. The other thing that I found very funny on the show the other day was my fellow paisan, Mike Geary, Blind Mike, asking whether or not I thought Andy Mayo's last name was really Mayo. Michael, what are we doing here, paisan? Of course I know Andy Mayo's last name isn't Mayo. I know what his last name is. And I know that I totally botched the Andy Mayo nickname. Calling him Hellman's Boy was a dud. And Mike, I know you're the world's foremost authority when it comes to comedy. And I know I let you down, Python, with that nickname. And I definitely got to work on that going forward. But Michael, you had to know the situation I was in with Mayo that day. You have to know how tough it was to kind of keep focus with him in there. And I know Kirk had mentioned, why did Steve save his commentary for episode 6 of the Consistency podcast? Why didn't he let Mayo have it a little bit while he was in the studio? And again, I gave Mayo a clean slate. I gave him a benefit of the doubt, and that was something maybe I shouldn't have done. I should have maybe laid into him while we were in the studio. And I kicked myself a little bit for that, because I did re-listen to my appearance on Friday. And I also heard the producer's show. And I have to tell you, Mayo isn't just a boob. He's a condescending boob. And he's not a consistent boob. I mean, I was really embarrassed when I heard the producer's show, and I couldn't believe how condescending he was to Gussie Bullshit and condescending Coleman. During the show on Friday, Mayo said to Kirk that these episodes that have come out during the third iteration of the Kirk Minahan show have been the best yet. He then turned and kind of congratulated Gus and Coleman. And Kirk actually interrupted and reminded Mayo that these episodes had more to do with Kirk than the producers. But then, during the producer's show, this boob asks Coleman and Gus if they would give back their bonus money. I mean, what nitwit does that? Who would ask that question? What makes him God to ask these two guys, whether you like them or not, to give back their bonus money? I mean, that's just ignorant. But to me, that is par for the course with Mayo. Trust me, I listened back to those appearances where Andy was on with Kirk to get a little bit more of a refresher, to do my homework. I re-listened to that dreadful top 50 list where he basically harpooned the show. He sabotaged Menners. He sabotaged Tim from Canton. He sabotaged Gussie Bullshit with his antics. And I reacquainted myself with his Twitter before the show. And he is just not a person that I want to associate with myself with going forward. And I know Kirk had said, hey, you and Andy should do a show. Andy, I hope you didn't take that to heart, because I don't want to do a show with you. Do not contact me. Me and you doing a show in 2024 is not happening. However, I understand that if there's a committee and I'm on it with you, great, I'll do it. If Kirk wants another show from hell with me and Mayo on it, I'll be there. But me and Mayo collaborating on a show is just not going to happen. He's just not my cup of tea. I just have the same feelings about Mayo that so many other people have. And I witnessed it in person, and I don't really want to be a part of that much going forward with Andy. And I don't think anybody can really blame me. As far as the Kirk Minahan show, I don't know what to believe right now, guys. I mean, on Friday, I left that studio feeling really good. Kirk said that I did a good job. Kirk said that I would be back in studio. And I really feel that that's going to happen. But then I hear Sunday's show where he thought I had a bad episode. He thought I stunk. You know, he still graded me as neutral. He didn't say I went down. But I'm just wondering what happened from Friday to Sunday that made Kirk kind of change his feelings towards me a little bit. And there was a caller at the end of the show who said that he loved my first 2 appearances on the show. He loves that I'm on the show. And Kirk was kind of bewildered by it. And he was kind of like, really? Because I thought he didn't do well. So I don't know what to believe. I mean, like I said before, I've let Coleman and Gus know that I'm free. I'm available. If they would like to book me again, I'm there. And I hope it happens because I have learned a lot from Kirk the first 2 times in. And I really would like to be on the show again. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There's nothing I can do. But I really hope Kirk's a man of his word and will have me in a 3rd time. I would love nothing more than that. But if it's not meant to be, I'll continue to put out the Consistency podcast. And certainly, if you're somebody other than Andy Mayo that would like to collaborate on a show, send me a DM. Let's have a sit down and maybe put out a good show in 2024 on the network. I'm all for it. So with that said, I'm wrapping up episode 7. And we'll talk to you soon in episode 8. Take care.